So Alli and I are welcome to the podcast, by the way, are just having a conversation. Before the conversation, we're like, wait, we should probably just go. So
Go.
how's it go? So I hit record. Here we are. Welcome back to the Disrupt Education podcast. Alli, what's going on now? How are you?
I'm good. Now at the time of this recording, this might be like too early, too soon for when this comes out, but if you had any travel interruptions this summer from,
Yeah.
like a massive tech outage, I don't know, like we're experiencing that in real time. And for those of you who went through it, we feel you. As we're kind of going from summer into fall and everything with this episode, we are, transitioning, and sometimes you need like a massive reset to realize what could be the issues, um, or the meltdowns that could happen if you don't reset or you have everything in one system. I don't know, like maybe that's something we should talk about with education. And so we are.
Is highly optimistic of the incredible blue screen action that happened this summer. Yeah, it does. Like I get, it is. It's like you look at the opportunity of it and yeah, you what you can control and what you can't control, right? I think that's a perfect example of that. Yeah, it's been an interesting summer, and I hope many of our listeners did not get stuck somewhere. I mean,
Or aren't still stuck, because who knows?
go, yeah, good Lord. If they're stuck now, then yeah, they probably should just start hitchhiking at this point. So but yeah, it's been an incredible amount of different things happening this summer. It's another political year. I don't want to get into that, but it's like, yay. You got travel, crazy things happening. But I like how you look at the opportunity in that. And I think that's part of going from crushing it and kind of closing this part of our podcast on, and then going into the investing in change, investing in education, which we're going into. That was a really good connection there. I like that.
Just think, whatever tech company that was that just melted the whole world.
Right. It's time to invest in them because they're probably going to go up anyway after all this. So
Probably, yes.
maybe, but
But you previewed it. I mean, so we just had this most incredible summer series of Crushing It. If you have not listened to any part of it, definitely go back and start with Robert Peppo's episode with Crushing It,
Mhm.
and then go and listen to all the other guests about what it looks like to be relentless in your pursuits, whatever that looks like wherever you're at. I mean, it's like the best mindset series for education we've done yet
Yeah.
on the podcast. I believe that wholeheartedly. And you might see something around that, if you want like a shorter condensed version, maybe. I mean, I'm not promising anything, but if you guys are like, ooh, that sounds interesting, you let us know. We might be like more inclined to make it for you.
Yeah.
So if you're like, I really need mindset resources to disrupt education, we're open to that possibility. So let us know.
Hmm.
And right, this is an exciting time of year. I always feel, even though I'm not like going back into the classroom, there's something special about August, because it does feel like a time where the possibilities are endless. And it's like the honeymoon season is upon us. And, that is just a beautiful time in any relationship, whether, you just got married or, you're about to embark on another year of education.
Hmm.
So, right, there really is this ability to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in a good way, to invest and to really dive into the work after your mindset is like set up. And so we are really, really excited to like kind of one, just wrap up some ideas and thoughts that we had from the Crushing It series, but talk to some really innovative people who are doing the work and or partnering with people who are doing the work to really invest in disruptive ways, um, to innovate and create an education like we haven't seen before.
Right. Yeah. It goes back to episode 333, as a matter of fact. I had to look that up. I forgot what number it was, but that's the kind of basically crushing it, unleashing summer learning for dynamic teaching. And that's with Robert Peplowski, Robert Peppo. We asked him, if you remember, to jump on because just follow him on any social media, and he's not going to stop. He's crushing it. Working on his own restaurant business and expanding the Peppo's empire, and really sharing that journey on all his socials. So we asked him to come back. He's worked with me in the classroom before. I am working with him on LMS systems and different things like that. It's really kind of cool to see like the connection of how education is everywhere, right? And then we went into, I'm just going to give a brief overview of who we went into, and then we can kind of pick it apart. Cindy Midget kind of came in and started talking about, how she built programs, took some risks in the healthcare, dental area. We went into goal setting with Nikki Green, and just somebody who has literally like taking her goals and just blew them up. That's a great one. We jumped into a med school dreams to a park ranger reality. And that was Rachel Flynn. That's your good friend there. That's a great, I love that one. So it comes in at a different angle, and you're like, wait a minute, that's somebody who actually changed into education. Kind of reminds me of you, Alli. Kind of changing and going into that. And then we went into Samantha, and those are two, and Mo, the two students, who actually kind of unpack things. Sam was all about, just getting things done, and how do we not check the box, and kind of laying down some interesting takes around, the way that she kind of, started taking risks in advertising and marketing and just real life experiences. And then Decca, she was talking about, and then Mo, who is also a photographer and kind of going down that realm, but really unpacked. He brought it all the way back to COVID and unpacked his mental space and students' mental spaces. Really just like laying everything out there. So I don't know where you want to begin.
Oh man, I'm actually, of all of those, I mean, they're really all great mindset episodes.
Mhm.
Samantha, I think if I could condense the series, I just love her idea and thought around, like, high school is 1/20th of your life for an average
Yep.
life expectancy.
Hmm.
And when you like, and that's 4 years, right? And you think about the transformations that you went through in high school. I went through in high school. Anybody listening to this went through in high school. And like, I can think of, you know, the scared freshman that I was coming into this, you know, very successful graduating senior onto college and everything, and think, wow, like, in that 1/20th of my life, so much changed. Okay.
Hmm.
And like, my mindset changed. But I don't know that we always apply like a 4 year like reset and look back like, oh, 4 years ago, where was I? And like,
Right.
how was I thinking? And what was I doing? And probably what you were doing 4 years ago has set you up for the things you're doing now. And that is what I'm thinking about with education, is it's like, okay, it's not like the school building has a life expectancy, hopefully not. But if we look at 4 year increments, we could really make some change.
Hmm.
And that, if we aren't like on this like quick fix it band-aid 1 year in and out, like, let's just try this, and look back, what were we doing 4 years ago? Do we even know? Like, have we made any of those changes? Is it innovative enough? Like, I think in order to really know what we need to invest in for the next 4 years, we almost have to go back 4 years and be like, was that really a good use of our time, energy, resources? Was that a good investment? Because I think we're so quick to be like, oh, this is what I need to do right now. And then it's like squirrels like hiding nuts everywhere and they literally hide like, oh, let's just say they hide 100 nuts. They only find like 10% of them. That's why I feel like education is. We're just
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's a good analogy.
hiding, all these like things, and we're like maybe using 10% of them.
Hmm.
And so it's like we could get really crystal clear on like what kind of transformation we want in 4 years, and that would really focus like what you actually invest in. It would really focus.
I think one of our next guests we're gonna, he'll kind of explain the what was it, the who, what, why, right? And I think
Why,
when
what, how?
you yeah, is that right?
Why,
Um
what, how?
oh yeah, there you go. Why, what, how, right? Correct? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So and when we look and listen to the last guest through this Crushing It series, that those are the three questions that people start to realize, but they were either back to the wall or they just took a moment and paused and really kind of listened to themselves. And to your point there, Alli, crushing it comes with like, you're right, it's not go 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 just this year, right? It's like go, take a moment, let's reflect, right? Crushing it reflects. I always think about what Robert Peppo does is, he sees things. He go, all right, let's take, for instance, this food truck that they built earlier this year, and they put it out there, and then they see how things work, and then what didn't work, because that was a whole new kitchen for them in those conversations that we had. But like, how does that work, and how can we improve upon it? Um, and I think it's very, very important, especially from what we heard from our youth, but also from everybody. Even Rachel, like when she was like just taking a moment and thinking, oh, here's West Texas, here's the parks. Maybe, somewhere she got connected with that, right? She just, but it didn't be like, okay, parks, I'm just going to jump into that. There were skill sets, there were different things in there. Cindy Midget talks a lot about like helping students find their skills, digging into those things as well. And obviously, Nikki Green does a great job of talking about, those goals, but those goals are based on like what, just take a moment and what do you really want? Like, what does it look like? And I think when we get down to it, and we talked a little bit about this with Sam, is you can call it maturity, you can call it whatever, but it's when you start to realize yourself and you really start to realize, hey, what can I do? What can I control? What can I control? You eliminate the other stuff, and then how do you build? And I think in education, if we start to, as educators, ask people, including students, obviously, what is it that you really want? What is it that you really want to go for? And if they have no idea, let's help them figure it out. Because if people are going through school like me and really didn't know anything about anything just to check the box, it's not going to be effective, right? So I think, when we start to invest in change, um, invest in the student, or the learners, all the learners in the room, including educators or whoever, um, and talk to them, right? Set aside time. Mo said it right. Just set aside some time to talk to some students every day, and learn from them.
Mm.
And that is actually, I think, where we're going to make the most change. But you're right. We do, like, I am impatient. I want to make change quickly, right? I want to change the entire education system in probably about a year, my first year of podcasting. Yeah, it didn't happen, right? But I also learned a lot, and then I met a lot of people, and then you start to build. So to me, that's what I got out of this series of Crushing It, and now we're going to start to change gears. But I really like that 20. Yeah, it's 1/20th of your life or 20%. It's 4 years. I mean, it's not even that much. It's like whatever, you know.
Yep.
Um, that's it.
You you
So,
make an interesting point here that we have been mulling about and thinking about. Um, and it's kind of going to be a lens we look at for the episodes ahead. And,
mhm,
we're hoping that you all listening will consider this because you kind of actually, whether you know it or not, Peter said both sides of this question. And so it's really like, okay, so the question is like, what is your purpose? And that's like the broad,
mhm,
but it's more like did the chicken or the egg come first? Like, does your purpose create the work, or does the work create the purpose? So some students, for whatever reason, woke up and decided they have a purpose. They know what they want, and so they do the work.
mhm,
And then you just said the other students don't know their purpose, so we have to expose them to work or to experiences, whatever you want to, insert the word so that they can find their purpose. But like, what is the purpose of education? If you're not crystal clear on like, why are we here? What are we doing? Like, you're not going to get into the how can we do it? Like, you need a crystal clear, like, why? Like,
mhm,
why are we here? What is our purpose? And I like to invest in change. I think the school districts and education buildings and organizations that have a clear purpose are really digging into the work. That's my perspective. But
mhm,
we also, can the work create the purpose? Like, can someone just be like heads down doing stuff? Their mindset is right. And then they're not really sure what the end goal is. Like, and it kind of backtracks into the purpose. We don't fully like know. I mean, this is like kind of a philosophical question.
mhm,
Um, we're very curious on what you all think, so please let us know. But right, like if you're going to invest in something, should you know your purpose? Like, do you know it? And like, does that help? Like, this is the kind of stuff we're going to be digging into. And I don't that this is why we did this crushing it series before, because if you're not prepared to do the work and you don't have your mindset right, like this next series is like you're going to get lost in it. You're not
yeah.
going to like we really wanted to set all of our listeners up to be like, okay, I am ready to invest. Like I know what it means to crush it. I know what it means to be relentless in my pursuit. I'm crystal clear on that. And I'm either ready to figure out my purpose or I'm ready to do the work. I don't know which one comes first, but that's what we're looking at.
We have that conversation, I know, in upcoming episodes with some of our guests as well. It's nature nurture, right? Like it's interesting. It does come down to that, but I also like the way that you kind of prefaced it because, look, and I'm not gonna lie, I think every educator understands this. Like when you go, especially for school educators, and guess what? I mean, everybody's an educator, everybody's a learner, right? But when you're in a system and you go in and of course you come in, you see everybody, how was your summer, da da da, da, all this great stuff. And you come in with the mindset, oh, I hope things are going to be better and da 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 this year. And certain people have changed roles, et cetera, right? Whatever. And that's just something that we see every year. Unless you're like a new teacher coming into it, then everything is brand new, but it's still kind of refreshing and exciting. Um, don't be if you're the type of person that's going to see something go wrong right away and say, "Oh, forget about it. Oh, this year's going to be the exact same as last year." You haven't done what Allie just said. You haven't understood like your purpose or you're not ready to do the work. This is not easy work. No one ever said it was, and it will never be easy work. And I also am really like interested in hearing people say, okay, well, that's fine, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. I can't control that. what kind of work or what kind of purpose are you going to put into wherever you're teaching, right? You made it very clear, Allie, that you want to bring more women into the sport of skydiving, right? And that's a purpose, but you're also doing the work. But that's the purpose.
Yep.
And you can break that down into if you teach algebra 2, right? Or math 2, or however your school says it, right? So what is your purpose? Is your purpose to have them understand it for a test? And if that's a purpose, then go, it could be.
Yep.
Is your purpose the thing is, when people start getting mixed up in their purposes to make it through the year, that's probably not a good place for you, right? So I would highly suggest taking some time and learning how to crush it, right? Because otherwise, let's say you have 8 years left or whatever until you retire and you're just hanging on. Um, that's 8 years of your life that you're just going to let go, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things that all the people that we've talked to in the last series understands is time is my greatest asset. And look, if I have to be here, even if you have to be there and you're like, okay, because of pensions or retirement or whatever, make the most of it, right? Make the
Mm.
most of it. And that then you, like you said, is your purpose to X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to put in some work and see what happens. Make this your sandbox, make this your playground. And I guarantee you, I always say this to everybody. You and I, Allie, are I think living proof of this is when you are building things and you are putting it out there, right? You don't have to be like on social media all the time or whatever, but like, go into your PLC or go into a professional development, whether they let you travel or not, whatever, like go places within your school, outside your school, and share your knowledge and find other people who are doing it. And I guarantee you opportunities are going to come your way. And then that investment is going to be easier because you're going to have more people around you investing. And
Mm.
and that's to me, I think that's both of our paths, right? And guess what? You're not in the classroom. You're in a different type of classroom, I should say. You're not in a traditional school model, but you're still putting it out there. You're still kind of pushing in doing things. And again, it doesn't have to be like social media right here on a podcast or wherever. It can just be in groups of people. You have your tribe of people who jump out of planes, right? And if you go back way back in LinkedIn, you'll see that Allie has taken a lot of time off of social media, which I need to do as well. But that doesn't mean like when you put it out there, well, I got to do social media. No, you don't. So there's so many different areas where you can push this change. So I think this is the transition that we really want to hit when it comes into, the spring, or sorry, the summer into the fall season in your traditional education system or wherever you are, right? Sometimes this is like your downtime starts to come up. But really you can still kind of what are you going to invest in? What are you actually going to do? And that's the question.
It is the question. I'll be our for our guests that were on this summer. This is my read on if they were purpose and then work or work and then
Hmm.
purpose. But if they're listening, they can let us know if we got it right. So my read is that Peppo got his purpose and then like really dug into the work.
Hmm.
Cindy was like knees deep in the work, found her purpose.
Hmm.
Nikki was, I think, like a had a purpose, did the work, from that work, got a new
Yep.
purpose,
Hmm.
then did more work. So it's like an interesting cycle there. And Rachel was like, did the work, found what wasn't her purpose, did other work, and then found her purpose.
Hmm.
And our high schoolers, I don't think they totally know, but so they're like, kind of like they're Samantha and Mo, like they have ideas of their
Yeah.
purpose. It'll be interesting to see if the work changes it or not, because
Yeah.
it's just like they're at a season in their life where their purpose is driving what they're doing right now,
Hmm.
but it could so easily shift. So it'll be interesting if they're like, no, I have a clear purpose. I mean, Mo is pretty adamant, like, I don't think I'll change. So he would be maybe I'd be like, he seems pretty purpose driven,
Right.
and is like knees deep in the work. But I will be interested in like 4 years from now if he's still into graphic design or if it did change.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was our amazing series of crushing it, and it is setting us up for this really like the perfect time to hit the fall season, school starting, and like really dig into change makers and finding purpose and then investing in that. Like
Hmm.
we're really interested in people that are doing the work and telling us how long does it take? What does it require? Because we're pretty sure that it requires a mindset thing first, which is
Hmm.
why we just did this series. Okay, cool. Your mindset's right. Now what is like that next building block? And if you are like in that work or you know someone that's in that work, please let us know because we're still working on this is gonna be a big series. I can
Yep.
just already tell. And so like while we're kicking it off now, we're probably when this comes out interested in still recording episodes for it. I
Hmm.
like to pull back the curtain a little bit. Sometimes we record series over months. Sometimes
Hmm.
we do them in a shorter stint,
Yep.
but this is one where we think people are gonna let us know like who do we need to talk to and like where are the districts that are really investing in change? And that doesn't have to be like a whole school district doing something. Like if your group of teachers is doing this really innovative thing, like let us know. Because Peter, you're really excited about the work you're doing and it
Hmm.
is innovative and your district is investing in you
Yep.
and it's new, right?
Yeah.
So like what do you want to share right now to kind of be like, what are you excited about with like you have a new purpose and energy. Your
Hmm.
mindset is right. So like, what are you kind of excited about to kind of dip the toes in the water for what does it look like for a school district to invest?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think when connections of community and schools are happening, that is really what's happening in we're going to see that in this series. So I have the opportunity to really have time to connect with community leaders, community businesses, entities, organizations, and also bring those connections back into the classroom under skill-based learning, right? So I have the opportunity to help build curriculum and I'm a teacher. Like I'm in the teacher system, by the way. I'm not a guru or anything like that. I'm not like hired from outside of a school. I am inside of a school, and there's two of us who are working on this. And we are creating curriculum for like healthcare, for engineering, for IT inside classrooms where they get to work with outside people, right? The things that we've been talking about for years, and frustrating me for a long time are happening. And this, I'm in a public school, right? So it's very innovative. And I think, those are the things that we're going to start to dabble into is how do we connect, a student's purpose or what are they working on? And then how do we connect that to, the world? Okay. Everybody says education is so disconnected. It's not worth it at the college level, XYZ, all these things that people, the excuses and the comments are still out there, and some of them are still true. However, like Ali said, there is investment in change. There is investment, obviously private, but there's also public investment into change. Your communities can do some of these amazing things. The other thing that I've been tasked with is to help students find opportunities that they're working on right now. So, for example, let's go back to Samantha, right? She was in a program where she had to kind of figure it out herself, and she did some marketing through actually, helping students be a tutor them through a business, and going into the kind of the med field and looking at that, but she kind of figured it out. What we're doing is the kids are putting in the work, and then we are actually connecting them with the area that they put the work in to real work, and then they get certified in that. But that doesn't mean they have to do that the rest of their lives, right? That means that basically now they can see the skill sets that they have, whether they want to do it or not. It can give them a boost into the next area of education. Super excited to share more about this, because the investment in change here is large. It is exciting. It is very different, from where I started. And at the risk of giving everything away, um, it is the disruptive education piece that I have been looking for in the past like 7, 8 years, from this podcast and from creating, a lot of groups. And then obviously Alli and I have run with this for a couple of years. So I'm excited, really excited to come into this school year. And don't let any teachers really tell you that they're not excited to come out of summer, because really we kind of always are, just a little bit, right? We need that routine and that consistency. But this year, is a pretty big change, for me. I would say on a daily basis, rather than being in classrooms all day long. It's different, and we're building molds for new types of education, and that let's go.
I and when I'm thinking about what I said earlier in the podcast about
Mhm.
like look back at where you were 4 years ago, and that'll probably predict where you are right now.
Yep.
You're in a role that is disruptive because you have been investing in that in yourself for that change to then find other people and community and school districts and places that are also doing the work. Like, I think that energy, you find that when you put yourself out there, like you've been doing the work, you through that work got clear on your purpose,
Hmm.
or like, I really care about disrupting education and not doing things how we've always done it because that's not working. I don't see it working. I'm going to do something about it. And now you're on like this new path and journey where you get to kind of, in a new way, figure out what is my purpose in disrupting education. That's interesting because you now get to do that firsthand.
Yeah.
And I mean, you always have, but like in a
Hmm.
role where that's like literally what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Right.
Rather than just like doing it from, you were doing it in your own space, in your own classroom, and now it's like the district and community are embracing that. So it's growing. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to explore in this series. And I'm excited at the end of this series, however long it goes, well into the fall, if not longer, but where are you at with kind of the curriculum, and what have
Hmm.
you seen with, the students you're working with and the community members that are involved in the school district? Because it it's right. It's that endless opportunity. It's this field of dreams,
Hmm.
um and you'll get to kind of refine that. So I'm excited for you and for everyone who's starting the school year with a mindset that's ready to crush it, and who is ready to dig into like really investing in change. And that can look so different at every level, but if you are listening to this and you're like, I know someone who needs to hear this podcast from the start of the school year,
Yeah.
or like you know someone who like needs a mindset kind of like shift, for the naysayers in your life, but they're like not really naysayers, they're just public naysayers, like really secretly want change. Please share out your favorite episode recently. Like, it helps us, but also like it helps you, because if more people are on board with disrupting education, then we can make change faster. So that's kind of my final thoughts
Yeah.
inadvertently,
I
but
like that. Look, it's going to be a great series. We're going to be this is rubber to the road kind of stuff, and also just sharing some stories. But really, I have a large amount of faith that Alli and I are going to be talking a lot about opportunities for you. It's not easy. The path is not easy. We're not going to sit here and say that, oh, everything's just going to be, sunshine and rainbows. It's not. It's a long road. There are ups and downs, but we need to help each other out. And that's exactly kind of bouncing off Alli's final thought there is really, look, there are some of these, we're not here to disrupt education to piss people off. We're here to grow and help people. If we challenge people with thought, that's good, right? You have to think about things, and there might be some things that you agree with and things that you don't agree with. Those are all opportunities. I've listened to a lot, Alli and I have listened to a lot of guests where, even on our reflections, we're like, I don't know if I agree with that, but it gets you kind of thinking about, people's purpose and why they're doing things and how they're helping. So, to push limits, it hurts. It hurts. And so, as we go into this next series, get yourself in the right mindset, but also get yourself into a consistent kind of rotation to where you are taking care of yourself, and also giving yourself that peace of mind, even when you're go, 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 because we know that's what education is. Also take that time to reflect. Maybe this is the year you keep a journal. Maybe this is a year where, you start meditating or something like that. Because those are the things that have helped us. Yeah. Right. So, I don't, that's it. So we're going to go. We have a couple of great guests coming up. The next couple ones we've already planned out. Very, very great people who are doing some pretty innovative things. And you can always reach out to these guests too. So we always put their connects there. If you have questions, if you're trying something or whatever, these aren't just for us to say, hey, we got to talk to so-and-so. No, this is for anybody listening. And, last thought, again, like Alli said, if you hear something that you're like, wait, I should share this out, or I heard this, share it out, because we're here to build. We're here to disrupt education and make it better for everyone. So with that being said, I can't wait to jump into this. You got 7 days until we get into the next podcast, unless you listen in bulk. Then you can just go right into the next one. But for Alli Privitt, I'm Peter Hostrawser. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Disrupt Education Podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe and share it out. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Disrupt Education Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Are you ready to disrupt the educational arena you're a part of? For more ways to get involved in the work we do here at Disrupt Education, check us out at disrupteducation.co or find us on LinkedIn at Peter Hostrawser or Alli Privitt.
Our mission here is to help facilitate and amplify changes in the educational system through local initiatives and help you scale them into community movements. Our building network of disruptors in education are working to move beyond scores and grades as the only measure for student learning. If your school district, college, campus, or organization is looking for facilitators of this work, reach out on our website or social media.
And if you have any thoughts or feedback on this week's episode or any episode, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries, taking risks, and most importantly, disrupting education.